Think about the last time you saw something that stopped you cold. Not surprised, not confused. Stopped. That feeling when your brain says, that should not exist. 3 young women felt that on a Sunday afternoon in January 1996. They were not soldiers, not scientists, not people looking for anything unusual. They were walking home, taking a shortcut through a vacant lot in a small Brazilian city. And what they found crouching in the weeds changed everything. The Brazilian military mobilized within hours. Military trucks sealed off entire streets. A 23-year-old soldier who touched the creature died 26 days later. His cause of death? A bacterium so aggressive, forensic specialists said it didn't look like anything from Earth. And a U.S. military cargo plane secretly landed in Brazil, loaded something, and flew out, without telling the Brazilian government a single word. This is the story of Varginha, Brazil, the case that Brazil has known about for 30 years, and that almost no one in the English-speaking world has ever heard properly told, until now. January 13th, 1996, 7 days before. It doesn't start on January 20th. It starts 7 days earlier. January 13th, 1996. A man named Carlos de Souza is driving on a rural highway through Minas Gerais state, heading to meet friends in the city of Tesuro. He's just passing through. Then he looks up at the sky. A cigar-shaped object is moving through the air above him, but something is wrong with it. It's trailing smoke. It's losing altitude. It's not flying, it's struggling. Carlos watches it make a sudden 360-degree turn, as if trying to correct course. Then its engine appears to die, and it drops, straight down, like a rock, into a field approximately 6 miles outside the city of Varginha. Carlos stops his car, gets out, walks toward the crash site. What he finds is a craft approximately the size of a school bus, metallic, damaged, with debris scattered around it in a 40-meter radius, and the ground around it burned. The grass scorched in a perfect circle. He picks up a piece of debris from the ground. Before he can do anything else, military vehicles appear. Soldiers order him to drop it. Leave immediately. He does. Carlos de Souza didn't talk publicly about what he saw for 26 years. He vanished from the story, completely, for nearly 3 decades. Filmmaker James Fox spent 2 years just finding him. When Fox finally did, Carlos agreed to speak. And he said the events of January 1996 are, in his own words, like the scene of a movie that plays in my head all the time. The crash site is contained. The military moves in. And whatever came down in that field is no longer there when daylight breaks. But whatever was inside it is still out there, somewhere near the city, alive. January 20th, 1996, 3:20 p.m., 7 days after the crash. Sunday afternoon, about 3:20 p.m., Varginha, Brazil. Liliane Silva, her sister Valkyria, and their friend Katia Andrade are walking home from work. They decide to cut through a vacant lot on Dr. Benevenuto Braz Vieira Street, the short way home. It's just a shortcut. They've taken it before. Liliane notices something near the wall at the edge of the lot. At first she thinks it's an animal. Then she looks closer. It's not an animal. Crouching against the wall, hunched, trembling, is a creature. About 4 feet tall, dark brown skin that looks like it's covered in oil, veins visible from the neck down to the arms. A massive head, disproportionately large for its body, with 3 bumps on top. And eyes. 2 large, deep, red eyes. Liliane later described what she felt in that moment. I had a terrible feeling, as if the world had stopped. The creature wasn't aggressive. It wasn't moving toward them. It was crouching, trembling, like it was sick, like it was in pain. Liliane said she felt, somehow, that it was suffering, that it needed help. She screamed anyway. All three women ran. The sisters ran home to their mother. Through tears, they told her they had seen the devil. Their mother, not knowing what to think, called relatives. Word spread through the neighborhood, and the Brazilian military, who had already been quietly operating in the area for 7 days, heard about it almost immediately. Within hours, military trucks were on that street. The area was sealed off, and the creature the three women saw was gone. January 20th, 1996. Evening. What happened next only began to fully emerge years later, piece by piece, witness by witness. On the night of January 20th, while most of Varginha was asleep, Brazilian military police were moving through the streets. Specifically, the military police's Secret Service, P2. Corporal Marco Eli Chereze and Corporal Eric Lopez were driving near the area where the girls had seen the creature. When a creature, matching the exact same description, ran across the road in front of their vehicle. Chereze got out of the car. He grabbed the creature with his bare hands and loaded it into the vehicle. He was 23 years old. Lopez drove directly to Varginha's regional hospital. The creature was taken inside. Dr. Italo Venturelli, a neurosurgeon on duty that night, was pulled into a room by a colleague. He was shown a video. He said it appeared to be a child with severe hydrocephalus, fluid buildup in the brain. But something was wrong with that explanation. The proportions were off. The skin was wrong. The eyes were unlike anything in any medical literature. Venturelli kept what he saw secret for nearly 30 years. He only came forward in 2024 after suffering a near-fatal heart attack. He said he decided then that if he was going to die anyway, he was going to tell the truth first. Meanwhile, a second creature had reportedly been found near the same area. 3 military trucks were dispatched, and on January 23rd, witnesses reported seeing a military convoy leave Varginha. Destination: the State University of Campinas, one of Brazil's top research institutions. The Brazilian military denied everything. The university denied everything. The hospital denied everything. But here's where the story takes a turn that nobody expected. A retired U.S. Air Force colonel, Fred Clausen, stated publicly that in January 1996, a U.S. military cargo plane secretly flew into Brazil. Without authorization from Brazilian authorities, it loaded, in his exact words, unusual cargo, and flew out to an unknown location. He estimated 30 to 40 Americans had direct knowledge of that mission. He asked them, publicly, to come forward. None have. Marco Eli Chereze was 23 years old. He was a corporal in the Brazilian military police's Secret Service. By all accounts, a dedicated soldier. A young man building a life. He had a wife. He had a future. On the night of January 20th, 1996, he grabbed a creature with his bare hands. During the struggle, the creature scratched him. 3 weeks later, Marco Chereze was hospitalized. He complained of severe pain in his lower back, then his arm. An abscess had formed in his left armpit at the site of the scratch. Minor surgery was performed to remove it, but his condition didn't improve. It got worse, rapidly. He developed a progressive paralysis, a high fever that wouldn't break. Doctors ran every test they knew. HIV, negative. Standard bacterial infections, none matched. He deteriorated within hours. On February 15th, 1996, 26 days after he grabbed that creature, Marco Eli Chereze was dead. He was 23 years old. The official cause of death, generalized infection from bacteria. But here's what the official report didn't explain. The bacteria found in his body was described by forensic pathologist Dr. João Giannini, a man with over 50,000 autopsies in his career, as being of extremely high aggressiveness and lethality. He said in a signed written statement that the bacterium's behavior suggested extraterrestrial origin. Marco's family tried to get answers. His wife asked for his medical reports, The hospital demanded payment for them. When they finally received the documents, pages were missing. His sister Antonia said she was told she was not allowed to talk about Marco's death. The police superintendent who led the inquiry was not permitted to attend his own officer's autopsy. The military pressed the family to bury the body quickly. They did. Today, 30 years later, a legal effort is underway to exhume Marco Chereze's body, to test for bacteria, or possibly DNA that might not be from this planet. Marco Chereze was a soldier who did his job. He never got to know what he died for. Who else was silenced? The three women, Liliane, Valkyria, and Katya, gave interviews repeatedly between 1996 and 1999, freely, without asking for money. Their stories never changed. Liliane, now 46, a primary school teacher, gave testimony at the U.S. National Press Club in January 2025. 30 years later, still the same description, still the same moment, still the same red eyes. Other witnesses didn't stay so visible. A local journalist, Nai Nadea, drove to the street where the creature was found. He found military blockades. A soldier told him directly, "This is a matter of national security." He couldn't pass. A witness named Louisa was approached by 4 men in dark suits. They offered her a briefcase full of money for her silence. She refused, threatened to call the police. They left. She said they were foreigners. Another witness named Carlos, unrelated to Carlos de Souza, was approached by 2 men in dark suits. They recited his personal information back to him: his wife's name, his job, his home address, and told him to stay silent. The only surviving member of the military squad that captured the creature, Corporal Eric Lopez, was approached by investigators years later. He pulled a gun on them and said he didn't know anything. The U.S. connection. Here's the detail that changed the entire frame of this case, and it came from an American. Retired U.S. Air Force Colonel Fred Clausen, a fighter pilot who had his own UFO encounter in 1980, stated under oath at a public press conference in Washington, D.C. in 2025, "In January 1996, a U.S. military cargo plane flew into Brazil without authorization. It loaded unusual cargo. It left for an unknown location. He was specific. He said approximately 30 to 40 Americans were involved. He said there would be a paper trail. He asked those Americans to come forward. The U.S. State Department had already denied visas to 6 Brazilian witnesses who wanted to testify before Congress on the Varginha case. The official reason? They might overstay their visas. 6 witnesses, all denied. Same week, same case. Filmmaker James Fox, who has investigated this case for over 20 years, said in January 2025, "This could settle the debate once and for all that we are not alone." Fox also revealed something else. He now knows the names of people who possess video footage of the creatures. Those people are too afraid to release it. Let's look at what we actually know. On January 13, 1996, a craft crashed outside Varginha. Multiple witnesses. Physical evidence. Military response within hours. On January 20, 1996, 3 women encountered a living creature. Their descriptions, taken independently, were identical. On the same night, military police captured at least 1 creature. A soldier who handled it died 26 days later from an unidentified aggressive infection. A U.S. military aircraft secretly flew in, collected something, and left. Witnesses were silenced. Records went missing. Families were told to stop asking questions. Theory 1. The official explanation. The Brazilian Army's official investigation concluded that the girls had mistaken a local mentally ill man, known as Mudinho, who sometimes crouched in alleyways, for a 4-foot alien creature, with red eyes, oily brown skin, vein patterns down its neck, and 3 bumps on its head. 3 separate women, same description, independently given. You can decide how much weight that explanation carries. Theory 2. Classified military experiment. Some researchers believe the creature was a classified biological experiment, either Brazilian or American, that escaped a facility. This would explain the military response, the U.S. involvement, and the aggressive cover-up. It doesn't explain the bacteria that killed Marco Chereze, or the forensic pathologist's signed statement about extraterrestrial origin. Theory 3. Extraterrestrial. The craft was real. The crash was real. The creatures were real. And whatever they were, the Brazilian and American governments know exactly what happened to them. The body is buried in a cemetery in Varginha. DNA might still be recoverable. Marco Chereze's body might still contain answers. The video footage exists, and someone has it. Varginha is not like most UFO cases. Most UFO cases give you a light in the sky, a blurry photograph, a story that starts and ends with speculation. Varginha gives you 3 women who had no reason to lie. A dead soldier whose family was told to stop asking questions. A forensic pathologist willing to put his name on a statement about extraterrestrial bacteria. An American colonel confirming a secret military operation. And video footage that someone is too afraid to release. Liliane Silva is 46 years old now. She's a primary school teacher. She teaches small children every day. She has given the same account of what she saw every single time she's been asked for 30 years. She says when she looked at that creature, crouching against the wall, trembling in pain, she felt something she still can't explain, as if the world had stopped. Marco Chereze never got to grow old. His family never got full answers about how he died. His body lies in a cemetery in Brazil, and the legal process to exhuming it to finally test what killed him is still ongoing. 30 years later, Varginha is a city that leans into its story. There are alien-shaped bus stops, a UFO-shaped water tower, souvenir shops with gray alien dolls. The city made peace with what happened there. The truth hasn't been made public yet. Subscribe if you want to keep going deeper. Drop a comment. Do you believe the 3 women? And I'll see you in the next one.